God bless you. Yes, they are wonderful people, and I am still impressed. I've not gotten over it. Wow. Just wow.
Hi, I'm Faith.
Hi, I'm Timmy, and I want to thank YRG Group, John Nasa, for helping us get our first home.
The experience was very seamless. From the beginning, when we were a bit unsure if this was the right steps, we had lots of questions. We wanted to know what the process was like. We were not sure if we were financially ready or if the numbers made sense or even where to start from. The team was very helpful in helping us figure all of that out. They helped us assemble our team of Avengers with the mortgage broker, with the lawyer, and everyone really just brought their A game. At the end of it all, we were able to have all of our questions answered. We were able to do a pros and cons list, run the numbers, and we were like, okay, this is the best decision. This is what the best place to get a house would be for now and all of that. And it was all thanks to the team.
Yeah, John Nasa are wonderful folks. We had a lot of questions, like Faith said. I usually message Joe in the middle of the day, random questions coming up, but they bought their A game. We saw our first house, we bought the first house, and they are wonderful folks. I'll definitely go with them any day, anytime for our next house.
Yeah. And we've also been recommending them to a lot of our friends and families, and it really means a lot for us to be able to recommend people to our friends and families. So it really just means that we had a wonderful experience, and we want everyone around us to have similar or even better experiences.
Yeah, thank you, John Nasa.
Thank you.
TikTok.
Yeah, my wife can go live on TikTok.
Sorry, 1710. Yeah. 1710. Okay, about to go live. Let's get ready. So let's introduce us. Welcome to the way from renting to owning. Remember, that's the key thing. Renting to owning.
Hello, happy new year to you. How do you feel today, Nasa?
I feel great. I feel awesome. How do you glad to be here?
I feel blessed.
Yeah.
I feel blessed. Honestly, it's a new year.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for joining us today. It's the YRG group, and you know, one thing about us is we're just excited about always giving out information. What do you think about that?
Absolutely. I mean, education is one of our key core values and pillars. So give people the knowledge that they're looking for in terms of, you know, moving from renting to owning their first property.
Yeah.
Or the next one.
Yeah. Yeah. And guess what? Today, I mean, just for you to know what you're going to be expecting, it's going to be raw conversations. And when I mean raw, I mean unfiltered, right? We're not holding back anything. It's a free program. Okay, you're not paying anything, right? So we need to give it all to you, you know, the way you want it. And just to do a little bit of introduction about us at YRG Group, my name is Joe. I have here with me Nasser, who my co-founder, my partner, my brother. You know, we founded this great company together. And I have here with me
Israel Olaide.
What do you do, sir?
I'm an insurance broker. I'm an expert in insurance and finance.
Okay, great. And we also have someone who wasn't able to join us today in the studio, unfortunately, but he's joining us, you know, virtually. His name is Mark. Mark is our mortgage expert. So everything about, you know, what you have to do when it comes to getting your, you know, your property. You have to get a mortgage, except if you have all the down payments, you know, which most people don't, right? For whatever reason. Even those that do still want to take advantage of.
Absolutely.
They call it like a free money, right?
Yeah.
OPM, other people's money. Right? Exactly. So Mark is the go-to person. Also, you know, is virtually. Mark, can you say hi to our people if you can? I hope he's saying hi to you. I can't see him. Okay, great. So just sit back, relax. It's going to be a very awesome time with us today. Like we said, we have all you need, you know, to drive your 2026 strategy when it comes to your financial planning, you know, your mortgage, your insurance, securing your life, and just making sure it's an awesome year, right?
Absolutely.
So beyond just the money part, making sure you have a wholesome year. That's all we're going to be talking about today. I will trust God to give us all the wisdom we can and also help you to get value for the information we're going to be sharing today.
Absolutely.
All right, great. To get us started today, we're just going to deep dive into the conversations we have, and also to keep the house rules. If you have any questions, please feel free to use, you know, the chat button. Say anything you want to say. Ask any questions. Don't hold back. Ask us all. You know, for the next 1 hour, we're here to answer your questions and help sure that you get all the information, all the knowledge you need to get to help you kickstart your 2026 on a great note. And we trust that it's going to be an awesome year for you in Jesus' name. Yeah. Amen. Say amen. Say amen. Great. All right. So one thing I've always known, you know, let me start with Israel. you know, on the financial part, people are always wondering and asking the question, you know, what does it look like when you talk about financial planning? It's like a buzzword. Everyone is just talking about it's a new year, it's a new thing, financial planning, financial plan. What does that really look like, you know, for someone who's trying to get that information?
Honestly, YRJ Group, thank you for putting this up. And I will say to the audience, thank you for joining us to watch, to see this. It's a good way to start your year. And coming from the aspect of finance, what are the critical things you need to do, right? A lot of us came into this year thinking we're going to make it big. Yes, we'll make it big. That's the idea. That's the philosophy. But then it's about planning.
Planning, absolutely.
Yeah? If you have the right plan in place, yes, you can hit it big. And then if you have the right plan and you take the right steps, or you talk to the right professional, yes, you hit the numbers big. But there are 4 major areas I would tell everyone on this call to consider, right? Your cash flow. Cash flow is how your money comes in and how your money goes out. You need to figure out your cash flow. So it's in figuring out your cash flow that you can talk about, you know,
what you can afford,
what you can afford, what you cannot afford, right? So figure out your cash flow. When you figure out your cash flow, like the program we're doing today, to also guide you from renting to owning, or from moving from your first house to your second house. Then we'll talk about number 2 of the things you need to do. Assets. You know, your asset will include real estate, investment in maybe TSFA, investment in RRSP, FHSA, so many kind of investment you can put your money in, GICs, you know, mutual funds. And of course, the number 3 things you need to consider: protection. So if you have so much assets, you've plan out your cash flow, you know, your asset is already planned out. You also at the same time need to figure out protection for your asset. And protection comes to talk about insurance and risk management. How do you manage your risk? How do you make sure in the end you're not taking unnecessary risk? How do you make sure you're working with a professional who will guide you when it comes to you investing in an asset portfolio, right? And of course, insurance part of it is how do you secure that investment? How do you secure your cash flow going forward? And of course, the number 4 thing I would also want us to discuss is legacy and growth. Right. So
I think let me cut you there. I don't want you to. I mean, you're going very, very technical, and I really want to take it slow, you know, on people. I mean, the moment I heard legacy, I'm like, okay, what's that? Legacy? I'm not dead.
But even before that, let's even jump to the number 2. So you mentioned cash flow, and then you mentioned assets. You mentioned things like RRSP, TFSA, GICs. So for someone just thinking about, you know, planning their financing for the first time, what do those things mean? What is RRSP? What is TFSA? What is a GIC?
Good. So guaranteed income with the GIC, right? And of course, TSFA, tax-free savings account.
Okay. So it's a bank account.
It's a bank account, but it's a tax-free. So the money is already taxed in your hand, and whatever you save after and the growth is not taxed again in your hand.
Okay.
So that's a good way to save. In the year like 2025 and 2026, about 7,000 rooms that each Canadian have.
Okay.
So you can save into that portfolio, you know, and grow your money tax-free.
Okay.
And of course, from that portfolio, you can also diversify and, you know, find maybe different funds to put it in, S&P 500, Vanguard
investment funds.
Investment funds. So you can grow your money in that portfolio. Okay. And of course, if you look at RRSP, Registered Retirement Savings Plan, the idea of government is telling you, hey, put your money in this account. We will not tax it today, but in future, when you start taking it out, we will tax it. Gotcha. But that account has to be registered with government. So that's one thing you should know today in going to 2020. In 2026, how to leverage each of these accounts to plan for your retirement or for future projects or for anything you want to do. Right. And of course, FHSA, First Home Savings Account. That's, you know, we're talking real estate today. Each year you have about $8,000 room, you know, for about 5 years. Maximum you can put in that account is $40,000.
Okay. And so throughout the lifetime of
that account.
Okay, $40,000.
$40,000. So if you're buying your first home, you can leverage on that account. Whatever money goes in there, the entire $40,000 go in there tax-free.
Beautiful.
So buying your first home, it's a good way that the government has established for you to be able to use in, you know, buying your first home. You know, so you save into that account. And of course, if you eventually didn't choose to buy a home, you can roll that into your RRSP
as well.
Right? Okay. As well.
So you don't lose that money.
So you don't lose that money.
You've invested.
You don't lose that money. So, but the plan is, look at what works for you as a family. But of course, sometimes it might be too technical. We can't spend a lot of time here discussing the technicality.
Gotcha.
But talk to a professional. Let's discuss. We will find options that suits your need. And that's why we're organizing this program today, to give you the education, to give you the background for how you should start up in your year. remember, cash flow is key. Without cash flow, you can't have further discussion. Yeah.
So when you say cash flow, you mean you need to have the money.
You need to have
right?
income.
I mean, no matter what it is, you have
whatever you're doing that generates you income, business, salary paid job, whatever you're doing, you have to be able to raise cash flow. Cash has to come in and out because that's the fuel. That's the survivor. That's the fuel. That's what keep you going. That's what makes sure you have food on the table. You're able to pay your rent or pay your mortgage. You're able to pay your car notes. All of these things that money can do. So cash flow is key. Make sure you're able to fix your cash flow. If you don't have a job, you have to get a job. If you need a business, you can talk to YRG Group. They can get you in to do what you're doing. I believe you guys are
set something up.
Set something up. And of course, if you want to talk to me, you can talk to me. But the idea is we need to fix our cash flow. If you fix your cash flow, you can achieve those big things.
Okay. Awesome. Okay. So there's something I just want to mention, quickly. Everything we're going to be discussing is not all inclusive, right? I mean, 1 hour is not enough to walk you through all you need to know from a financial, perspective. Right. 1 hour is not enough for everything you need to know about mortgage. 1 hour is not enough on real estate, right? So, but we're going to try as much as possible to give you, all you need, let's say, beyond the basics, right? To at least help you take that first step, and then a follow-up call may be appropriate, to then be able to look into because again, those all side doesn't fit all, right? Your situations are very, very different. So we need to be able to then personalize, look at your situation and be able to create a strategy that works for you best. Okay. Let me piggyback on something you said. You mentioned GIC as guaranteed, income, and also RRSP is going to be a deferred tax.
Yeah.
Now, what part of it is going to be taxed? Because, for example, if I have an RRSP of about $1 million, right? I'm going to have that for sure.
Yeah, sure.
I'm going to have that. No doubt about it. What am I saying? Even way more than that, right? I'm like $100 million, right?
Why not?
So my question is, what portion is going to be taxed? Is it that the amount I saved or the investment value of it?
When it comes to your RRSP, everything is going to be taxed.
So even whatever I make,
and what
you've made
growth
in the investment,
the growth and whatever you saved in will be taxed eventually.
Okay.
So consider your tax bracket today maybe at 10-20%. And of course, over time, you continue to accumulate more wealth. And then you're saving every time you put XYZ. So I think about 18% of your gross pay in a year that you can put in, for RRSP. So whatever you put in, right, will be taxed plus the growth. So you put in 500K today, in the next 10 years is now $1 million in your hand. $1 million in your hand will be taxed. That's the case of RRSP.
So compared to TFSA?
Compared to TSFA, the TSFA is not taxed again in your hand. As long as you're not taking that cash flow into another business. You spend it from that place, use it for whatever you want to use it for, it will not be taxed in your hand.
Okay.
But your RRSP will be taxed in your hand.
Okay, so just for clarity, TFSA, it's all your money, right? Once you follow through the contribution.
Yeah, because it's already pre-taxed in your hand. It's not that you don't pay tax on it. It was initially taxed in your hand.
Right. So you're not paying tax
again. You're not paying tax on the growth and whatever you put. Yeah, you're not paying taxes on those.
Okay. And when you say GIC, I know that's another vehicle.
Yeah, it's another vehicle. Is maybe taking money from whatever your investment, maybe pushing from your TSFA to buy a GIC, all of those.
Which is like a certificate where they give you like a fixed return.
Guaranteed, yes.
Guaranteed, say 4% or 5% at the end of a particular time frame.
Yeah.
So when you say guarantee, like guarantee.
I
mean, I'm not losing money. I'm putting in $1 million.
Like you're buying government bond.
Okay.
Guaranteed. Right? But if you want more, if you want to have
aggressive
growth, you need to switch. You can switch your options.
Okay, sounds good.
And that's where some other investment comes in that also become tax free,
right?
Because of their design. You could look at insurance as a way to make that happen, right? So maybe we'll talk on those areas at some point. I don't want us to
go too far. Okay. So I think we need to get into the mortgage part. People also get to know. I mean, when you talk about real estate, the first thing that comes to people's mind is mortgage. Right. Because I mean, there's no real estate without mortgage. Literally on the basic side of it, right? Do we have Mark online already? I know you said he was trying to get in. Okay, great. So I think I want our mortgage experts, to touch more on this. Now, for a novice, I want to assume we have people probably they just understand mortgage, right? They just know mortgage, but they don't understand what exactly mortgage. So, Mark, maybe you want to help us to just give us an insight into what exactly does it even mean to have a mortgage? What are the principles? What are the fundamentals? What are the various types of mortgage that people need to be aware of before we then go into some of the particularities of mortgage?
Sure. Good morning, everyone. My name is Mac Phillips. I'm a mortgage agent with Dominion Lending Centers right in the GTA. And I've been
Mark, can you hear us? Because it's saying I can hear you.
So it's on to unmute himself.
Maybe, do you want to unmute yourself?
I'm not on mute. I'm not on mute right now. I'm not on mute.
Okay, so maybe while we're fixing that, we'll talk more a little bit about real estate. Okay, Mark, are you ready for us now?
Yeah, I'm ready to rock and roll. Can you guys hear me?
I can hear him.
Can you hear me? Can you guys hear me on my end?
Okay, Mark. Okay, so I'm sure our audience can hear you.
The audience can hear? Okay, fantastic. So good morning, everyone. My name is Mac Phillips. I'm a mortgage agent right here in the GTA with Dominion Lending Centers. And I've been listening in on the conversation. I'm excited to add some foundation to your mortgage journey. So I think the first thing that we need to be thinking about when you're looking to purchase a home in 2026 is making sure you have the right team around you to offer the right guidance. Certainly, you want to have a real estate team, but the next component you want to think about is, where is your mortgage going to be qualified? Are you getting it done at the bank, or are you going to look for a mortgage broker to offer some guidance? Okay. So some of the things that you need to be thinking about in your preparation to determine whether or not you are ready to begin having that conversation is really 3 pillars in your pre-approval guide and process. The first one is income. Are you working? Do you have stable income that you can count on, that you would want to use to qualify for a home purchase? If you feel comfortable with that, then the first pillar is in place. The second is around your credit score. What's your credit been like? Do you have high debt? Do you have no debt? Do you have a good credit score, or are you working to rebuild your credit? That's a key element in understanding your options. And then the third is around your down payment. Do you already have your savings in place? Are you expecting a gift or an inheritance? Or do we need to use some very strategic strategies to build up your down payment, perhaps with a collaboration between myself and Israel, where we can help with some RRSP strategies as well? So those are the first things that I think you should begin thinking about when you're ready to take the plunge into home ownership. Are you financially ready? And if you can answer yes to those 3 areas, I would say that's a great opportunity to begin the conversation. Are there some other elements, guys, that you think you want to touch on that you believe first-time home buyers are really keen on today?
Okay, great. Thank you so much for that, very basic information. So I'm going to throw it back to Mark in terms of, so I have a good credit score. Maybe you want to provide more insight. What does a good credit score look like? On the average, what determines a good credit score, and how? I'm new to Canada. I'm a first time. Probably an immigrant. 3, 4, 5, 6 months. What does a good credit score look like, and how long does it typically take to build a good credit score?
That's a really good question. So thinking of, firstly, new Canadians, often we feel as though, because we're relatively fresh in the country, that there's a certain rebuilding phase once you've arrived, and that's simply not the case. As long as you have good credit in the country that you've come from, we can actually use that credit history to help build a credit profile here in Canada. So that's important to know. The second thing is that your credit has everything to do with your down payment. When you have less than 20% down, it's an insured mortgage, where you need to have a minimum credit score by most banks of 650 and above, okay, with no recent missed payments or blemishes in the last 24 months. That's typical for an insured mortgage. However, if you have 20% down or more, it actually allows more wiggle room in the eyes of credit, where your credit score can be as low as 600, and we can perhaps overlook some missed payments in the recent months, as long as there's a good reason behind it, and we can see we've worked past it and have only sunshine on the horizon. So that's a really good understanding of how to position credit. One last thing I want to mention before you jump in there, Joe, is that credit in and of itself does not allow you to qualify for a mortgage. I feel like often we think, hey, I have great credit, I have good income, that together, does that work? There really needs to be all 3 pillars together. Income in and of itself, or down payment in and of itself, again, would not allow you for the ability to qualify.
Okay, great. I like the fact that you said that, having a good credit is not just all enough, right?
You need the cash.
You need to have the cash, and
I think that's why we talked about cash flow earlier.
Yeah. Okay, so I still want to, because again, that's a big part of, the real estate journey.
Absolutely.
And I want to ask you, Mark, this question. So I have a good income, I have a good credit score, and again, to touch on what is said, that the possibility of you bringing your foreign credit
Your
score
credit
in.
score from
I'm going to
your
share a
country.
very practical example because I had a situation like that. I remember when I came to Canada, by the grace of God, I got our first property barely 6 months, when I came into the country. And part of the challenge, I think we shared this one of our podcast episode already, was the fact that, my credit score wasn't matured the way the broker, described it. And then I had to then reach out to my home country, where I got, my history. I never even knew, that opportunity was there. I had to reach out and I was excited to be like, oh my God, okay, you know what? Things are not bad,
So
in
you
my
can
home
get
country.
a credit score from West Africa.
From West Africa, yeah,
You actually can, yeah.
I actually reached out to the bureau, the CRC credits,
there's
CRC, something
credit
like
bureau,
that.
right.
And then I couldn't imagine I had a profile.
Wow.
Putting all my information the way you probably would have done on Equifax and all that.
Right.
And I was able to get a credit report.
Amazing.
And then it was pretty good. I'm a very good person, right? I don't, I don't default on loans and all. I don't even take loans back then, So yeah, but it was great. So the point is that you can do that, right? So if you're a new immigrant and you think everything checks for you, have a good job, you're stable, good resident status, I think you could explore that option, while you build your Canadian credit history.
Yeah.
Okay, great. I'm still on mortgage, because again, that's a big part of the conversation. Mark, I'm a first-time homeowner. I bought my first property. I'm no longer a first-timer anymore. I want to buy a second property. What does that look like for me from a mortgage perspective? How would I be qualified, for a second property?
That question is coming up more and more now as we move into the new year. The spring buying season is on the horizon, and a lot of folks are thinking exactly that, Joe. Good question. One thing that I do want to set some foundation around, though, is what a first-time home buyer looks like, because often I've spoken to investors who believe they're no longer a first-time home buyer, and I just want to set some expectations early on. So a first-time home buyer is someone who's purchased a home and has immediately occupied that home. And that has lived in that home for the last number of years, and there's actually not been any recent homes sold. The reason why I say that is because oftentimes we buy an investment property. We rent it out and think that because we're a homeowner, that our first-time home buyer benefits have been simply taken away, and that's not the case. You have to occupy that property as your principal residence to be able to have that first-time home buyer benefit taken away. So many listeners may be first-time home buyers without even realizing it. So I think that's helpful. And then when you're looking to get your next property, so the first thing that we want to make a decision around is the team going to be selling your property and then buying a new home? And how do we make that balancing act most successful for the buyer? Or are we going to hold on to that property and turn it into an investment property and perhaps sell it when the market either rebounds or there's a more optimal time to do so? So once that decision and determination has been made, we need to decide where are the funds for the down payment coming from. Do you have savings, investments, an additional gift from family, or are we leveraging the equity in the existing property? Once those two elements have been determined, it's honestly pretty straightforward. We'll know where the down payment's coming from. We'll know the additional income that could be used to offset the rental cost on the rental property even before it's rented, and allow that pre-approval to take place. I believe it's actually the client situation we're working through right now, Joe, for the family that we connected with in the last many weeks, that decision was to be made and how we position that moving forward.
I like the fact that, you mentioned that even if you're buying a second property, don't feel that you've taken away, that opportunity you have, you still have it secured.
Right.
Now, the other question people, over time has asked us is, what does it mean? Okay, I'm good, I have good credit score, but looking at the market, my income alone is not sufficient for me to buy a property. I want to do what I call co-ownership, right? So how would that work from a mortgage perspective, from a risk perspective? So two people coming together, 1, 2, 3 persons coming together to get a property. What is the risk attached, to one another? And how would that be qualified?
You know what? Leading into the pandemic, that strategy became a lot more popular than I think we realize of what's happening in the market today. One single borrower's income, unfortunately, where we are in the market today, doesn't provide the housing that most of us believe we deserve. I was actually having this conversation recently with a very successful young corporate worker. She earns $100,000 and can only afford then an entry-level unit in the downtown area. So that perspective mentally, I believe, is harmful from the vantage point of thinking that there are no other options. So to your point, Joe, there are other options. We can involve additional family members in the conversation, often mom, dad, grandma, grandpa, additional, best of friends as well. We've seen come together. I actually had one family that I supported years ago where it was actually two young ladies living in dorm together, graduated college, and said, hey, I liked you enough to live with you in school. Let's shack up together and actually buy our first home together and begin earning equity. These kinds of things are happening a lot more often. And there's even another program that's called Arboro that we may have had the opportunity to pre-approve clients through, where it's actually a down payment support program, where there may not be a third-party entity with income that we know personally, but perhaps maybe like a JV environment where there's someone that's in an investment company that can support our long-term success. But there are lots of options. I think if we think in a silo, yes, your options are limited. If you connect with our team, ask questions, get the right advice, you'll be surprised at what options are available to you.
Like when you don't speak to people,
right? You don't know what's
you
available.
Really wouldn't know what's available. You probably just feel it's one size, which is why, I mean, a program like this, it's very important for you, to know that there's a lot of options available for you there. You actually could start a journey, like we call ourselves your real estate journey. It's a journey, right? It's not like it's never going to end. It starts from your financial planning. It gets into knowing your credit score, getting your credit score good, having a good income, the cash flow. You just kept talking about cash flow. What if someone gives me money? Why are we just talking about cash? I don't need to have a cash flow, right?
You know, it's not about. I know when it comes to closing, there is a lot of work that has to be done.
Closing. What does closing mean? Just for the audience.
Like you bought the property, you want to move into your property. Right. The closing, getting a legal person, getting the funds, like Mark would do for you, right? But all of that is, a big deal, a big process, that has to be done. But remember, you have to keep the home going forward.
True. Yeah. So you're talking after the mortgage. Yeah. So you move into the house, everything.
After the mortgage, there should be continuous cash flow. Because we're not a team who want to buy you a home that you buy and then you're
under pressure.
You're under pressure to live in your home.
True.
So in today's statistics show that many people buy home and they can't even live there because they have to work multiple jobs to keep things going. Right. So that's why we are not just saying buy real estate, but we want you to start. We want to work from what should you do to make sure you have cash flow that will sustain the buying, and then after you buy, you are able to live in your property. In fact, if you have to rent part of your property, that's what the group will look at. Okay, how do we make sure the cash flow is easy, is good for you? So that's why it's very important that the cash flow has been taken care of.
Yeah.
We don't want you to raise the money from the blues and then
all of a sudden, I think as a matter of even for the government, right? The whole intention of making sure that you qualify, right, in getting a mortgage, because they want to be sure you do have an income.
Absolutely.
Right? Because they just don't want someone coming from the blues and they just bought property and then all of a sudden you can't afford to pay the mortgage. And then it becomes a problem to the bank, having to foreclose.
You lose your deposit if you have any at all, and at the end of the day, you're struggling to keep up with the other things. Yeah, it's some of us had that bad experience, but our goal is to make sure we guide our
other
audience.
people so they don't fall into that same trap as well.
That trap.
I think the word for that is we don't want you to be we don't want you to be house rich and cash poor.
No.
Absolutely.
And as a matter of fact,
house rich and
cash
rich.
Yeah. I know people always say this. There's this maxim or slogan, whatever it is, that the biggest thing you ever buy, it's your home. No, I don't think so.
No.
I don't think so. I don't know wherever that came from.
It's one of the biggest things.
It's one of the biggest things. But there's so many big things you can do with your life. As a matter of fact, in building your wealth, you need to have 5 classes of wealth. We're not in the wealth master class anyways. Okay, we're not going to get into detail.
We'll charge for that.
We're going to charge for that. And as a matter of fact, at YLJ Group, we just like to give freebies, right? So maybe someday we could get in condition, to offer you. But one of those things is your health. Right, that is one class of wealth that you need to invest into. So just telling you that. So as you get into 2026, as you plan, do your financial strategy, plan for your health. Health is wealth, right? So you want to plan for your health so that when you buy that home, you can live in that home in good health. Peacefully. And that's one of the things we offer here at YLJ Group. We're not just about you just buying. We're not just going to tell you have to buy. No, we're concerned about the journey. That's why we call it your real estate journey. It's a journey. It doesn't start with you buying, doesn't end with you buying. There's a lot that goes into it, and we want to be part of that journey, making sure that.
And that's why I was talking about the legacy and growth.
Yeah.
Right?
No, we're going to get into that. We're going to get into legacy and growth. You know, I mean, 'cause that's something I'm also very passionate about.
Right.
Because particularly from where I come from, part of the world I came from, the awesome place I came from, right? People are scared of when they hear the word legacy, it creates a lot of fear. When people hear things like will, people are scared. What do you mean? I mean, even for me to convince my dad to get a will, it's like don't talk about that. People just get kind of scared about things like that, because when they come to will or legacy,
are you trying to get rid of me?
you got to get rid of me, you know. So, but we're going to touch on that a little bit more to give us insight into, you know, what that looks like. So when you buy your property, how can you secure it? But over to you,
Okay.
Nasser, partner, CEO, YLJ Group. Now, someone is asking and thinking, I don't even understand, what does it mean to be in real estate, right? What does the journey look like for me? Where do I start from? What are the kind of properties available? How do I get, so we talk about mortgage, right? Which is pretty very fine. But what are the kind of things I need to know when it comes to getting into my real estate journey?
Okay, I mean, most people are already there, right? The first step usually is people are renting a property, which some of you might be doing already. Like you're living in another person's house, and I know there's that statement that, oh, you're paying another person's mortgage, but it's still, you're getting some value for that. There's no need to feel ashamed about that.
Absolutely.
At some point, everyone has to live in another person's property, right? It's like what we call the property ladder. You're climbing up.
Yeah.
Now the only thing is, we don't want you to stay on that spot forever. Okay. So now you're renting. The question should be, okay, how do I get into my own property that I own? Now you might be thinking, well, what's the reason for that? Now I know there was an RBC report that came out and said, on the long run, right, especially before the pandemic and now, that people that own their own properties have a higher net worth than people that rent for the past 20 years. The reason for that is very simple. Not to get too technical, but what happens is, with the money and with economies, with the way things work, the value of our dollar, the Canadian dollar, or any currency, keeps dropping every year. So, for example, what $20 could get you today is not the same thing $20 could get you like 4 years ago. So, what people do is you invest in assets, right? Assets can be paper assets like stock.
Yeah.
Assets can be commodities like oil, gold, silver, things like that. Asset can be real estate.
What about Bitcoin?
Bitcoin is also a digital asset as well.
Yeah,
it's an asset as well, right? So real estate is one. So the reason why people are so heavy on real estate, because real estate is sort of almost the easiest asset to understand. Because if you say go and pick a company that will grow from $5 to $20, it's hard. There's a lot of numbers and calculations that you need to do. But real estate is very simple. I buy a property in a good location, access to the highway. We have Walmart, we have Costco. And the neighborhood is a family-friendly neighborhood. You know, on the long run, that's an asset that can grow from, say, 500 to 800,000.
Yeah.
Right. So it's very simple to understand. Right. So it's to protect the value of your dollar. And rent is, as we all know in the GTA, is rent getting cheaper or getting more expensive on the long run?
More expensive.
So how much are people paying for a 2-bedroom 10 years ago, and how much are people paying for a 2-bedroom today? Right. So you want to protect your money by buying real estate. Now, to your point, what are the kinds of real estate that you can get? The first one is you can buy a condo. One of those high-rise buildings downtown Toronto.
Those beautiful high-rise buildings.
Beautiful glass structures. You can get one of those, right? They are the cheapest to get into, but at the same time, they come, apart from the mortgage, there's an additional cost, which is like a maintenance fee that comes with that, right? But for that, anywhere from, I would say, as low as 500 to as high as even 1.5 million. 500,000 to 1.5, you can get a condominium anywhere, depending on the location. That's the first one. The next thing you can go to is what we call a condo townhouse. It's a house, but it's still a condo, because you are paying for commodities that everyone in that neighborhood is sharing.
The common elements.
Like the common elements, right? Like the playground, clearing of snow, and some other things as well. So
I had a swimming pool at some point. And it was one of the best in town.
Yeah. So some condo townhouses.
No, I said it was one of the best. You didn't acknowledge that.
Okay, we acknowledge your lovely townhouse.
It was one of the best. It was one of
We
the best.
acknowledge it. So there's a condominium, which is the high rise, and there's a condominium townhouse. Then there are the standalone. Then there are the townhouses as well that you see, four doors next to each other, right? You can own one of those ones as well. Those ones are slightly more expensive than the condos.
Okay.
And then you have the semi-detached, which is like 2 properties, 1 door, just two neighbors side by side. And then you have the standalone house, which is what everyone dreams to move into, right? You have that, you're not sharing any walls with anybody. You have your own garage, you have your own space. So yeah, so those are the different things. And I mean, at any point in time, like everyone has said, all the professionals have said, know your cash flow, know what you can afford in terms of a mortgage. And then we can now see as professionals to say, okay, which of these 4 or different property types do you fit into or works best for yourself and your family, based on your family size, based on where you work, based on how long you're willing to commute to work and things like that.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. And I think to just, to piggyback on that, if you go through our podcast on YRJ podcast, where we're streaming from, we've had a lot of series. We've touched on different kind of properties. And guess what? Now, towards the end, we're going to tell you something. Okay. So there's something exciting coming at YRJ Pod. We're not going to disclose that yet. So you want to stay tuned to the end of the program, and then we're going to share with you some of the biggest things you're ever going to see happening in the real estate world. We're going to be having them this year. It's going to be a talk. I think for people that saw our video on Instagram, they probably should have it. We're going to talk about what that looks like, for this year. Now, I think at this point, we're going to go on a quick commercial break, and then you're going to listen to some of our testimonials of people that have had to work. Now, all these things we've shared today, so it doesn't just sound like it's just like buzzwords. We've had people that have actually had this experience with us, working with us, and having to see those personalized approach. So we're going to take 1 or 2 of those testimonials, and then we'll be right back to keep the commercial going. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Hi, my name is Marjorie, and I want to talk about my experience with Bolanle. I had a very, very amazing experience working with Bolanle. At the time I met him, my family and I were in a fix. We had decided at the time to sell our house in Ottawa, and we were going to make a loss of up to $100,000. Yes. And at the time, I thought that was the only option available to us. And then I met with Bolanle. He got on a call with us, and he did a comprehensive analysis of our situation. He computed the numbers and gave us various options that we didn't even know we had at the time. After we sat down, we concluded that the best option for us was to move back to our home in Ottawa as against selling it for a loss. His advice really didn't even stop there. He gave us tips on how to reduce our mortgage prices even further. He gave us tips on how to move from Toronto, where we were, to Ottawa. And it's been 2 months now staying here in Ottawa. We've moved, and it's been amazing. We could have lost our house in Ottawa, thanks to Bolanle. Helped us to see the bigger picture and all of that. I can't recommend him enough. If you're looking to get into the housing market, or you're looking to sell, rent, or even advisory like we needed, someone who was an expert in the market, in the housing market, I would recommend Bolanle. I cannot recommend him enough. He was really good to us.
Hey everyone, so I wanted to take a moment to share my experience working with Bola as a realtor to secure an apartment for me last winter. Honestly, the process could have been really stressful considering the circumstances within which I was moving back to Toronto. But working with Bola made it smooth and easy from start to finish. For my very first conversation, it really took the time to understand my preferences, my lifestyle, and the things that I was looking out for in an apartment and in a location, which was what influenced the choices that it presented to me. It wasn't just interested in my budget, but it was also interested in the kind of lifestyle that I wanted to live and what actually mattered to me in a home. It helped me quickly shortlist apartments that fit the criteria that I was looking for, which helped save a ton of time. What also really stood out for me was that he was able to visit a couple of places even before I was ready. And with that, he was able to provide some recommendations, so I didn't waste my time visiting places that were not interesting to me. Throughout the process, he offered recommendation and advice that really made the process and decision making very easy for me. And when I finally found the right place, it was very quick to make sure that I got my application in, did all the follow-ups that was necessary for me to close on the apartment within 24 hours. And even after everything was finalized and I got my keys, he was able to support me even weeks after I had moved in to ensure that my transition into the new place was seamless. And so, if you are looking for someone who is efficient, if you're looking for someone who understands the Ontario real estate market and someone that will prioritize your needs and your convenience, Bola is your guy, and I can't recommend him enough. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Zemo, and I want to thank Nasser for helping me get my first home. The experience was quite seamless from the initial viewing to finding the first property to seeing the best fit and the tough negotiations. The negotiations were quite tough, but Nasser made it seamless. His knowledge of the industry and how things are prayed and how we could get the best deal, and him answering my question even at the oddest hour and always just trying to get to the bottom of it. And also the back and forth we had with the seller, just getting all those requirements met, ensuring that even though the unit was in proper shape. So all that was very, very helpful and appreciative, and all in all, I want to really appreciate Nasser for the service in purchasing my first home, and I'll probably 10 out of 10 service, and I recommend this to every person out there that's trying to get their home, and it's very knowledgeable, even also helping me with mortgage, getting a right lender, going through the mortgage process, getting a reputable lawyer, things like that. He was there from step one till I had the keys in my hand. And it was a fairly quick process on my end. Like, I didn't need to stress or struggle. So that's something, like, if you're looking for someone out there that knows his game and knows his thing, Nasser is definitely your man. Thank you.
All right, welcome back. Thank you for staying tuned with us. I'm with still your YLG group with Nasser, with Joe. I have here with me Israel, and also online is Matt Daniels, who's helping us on the mortgage side. And I hope you're having a great time, learning, and probably you found one or two things new, you're catching up with today.
Yeah, you need to let them know your name is Bola, so they were wondering who is Bola.
Okay, my name is Bola. I'm so used to okay. Yeah, so this is what I want to talk about. At the time we had this testimonial, YLG group was still information state, right? So we're still operating in solo. But right now, there is no Bola anymore. There is no Joe. There's no Nasser anymore. I've taken it away from him. It's now the YLG group, okay? Right? That's how we roll right now. Okay, so great. We're going to be talking about, people do have this question. This is for Israel. Yeah. When it comes to insurance, right? People feel it's a scam, right? Like, insurance is a scam. Just paying insurance. I guess people see from the way they paid for their car insurance, and like for the longest of time, right, they never had to, to make any claim, right? So the same thing in terms of life insurance, right? Maybe just want to touch a little bit around, particularly around why I'm alive, right? How can I make the best out of my life insurance? Because I mean, again, we'll talk about inheritance for kids. That's for people that want to have kids, right? What if I don't want to have kids, right? But I want to have an insurance because I have a mortgage. Okay, so how can I still enjoy my insurance while I'm still alive?
And how does it connect or relate to real estate?
Real estate, yeah. So thank you, Bola. Earlier we discussed risk management and insurance, right? And that's protection for your assets. So you've worked hard, you fix your cash flow, you now invest in several assets, you invest in real estate that we're talking about today, and talk about a long list of any kind of assets you can invest into. But one thing that would happen is, if those assets are not properly secured in terms of what happened if debt, maybe for example, right, or what happened if not even debt, but you're going to transfer that asset to your children or to somebody you love, it will trigger capital gain tax. And that's about 60%, 50 to 60% of the net profit on that property. So half of that property.
So you have to share that with Makani.
You have to pay that to Makani.
All right.
Right. Okay. And the truth is, you work so hard in getting your money to finance that asset, to invest in things. So if it's not properly tied or protected, it would trigger capital gain. At the end of the day, you find out that you worked so hard and you lost all your money back to government. So government also gave you the room to invest using life insurance. And what life insurance does is it protects you in your lifetime, and of course protect and create legacy. So, what Bola just mentioned, some people see insurance as is a scam. Insurance is not a scam, But what happened is many people buy insurance without understanding what they are buying. And that's where the big issues are. When you're buying insurance, don't just jump into the policy. Work with a professional who has your interest at heart, who understands your short-term goal, your long-term goal. Like the YRG group says, the journey is not just buy the house, it's to walk you through the entire journey. Even after you buy the house, there's a lot of events that happen in the process. So same with insurance. You have invested so much in asset, you want to lock in that asset and protect the money you use in buying insurance. You're buying the property. So meaning that the money you use, maybe you put 20% down. That put 20%, you want to protect it. You also want to protect your equity as your equity continues to grow on that asset. That's where insurance comes in. Insurance will protect it. Suddenly life happens, your children can receive that asset transferred to them tax-free. And of course, if you buy the right type of insurance, that's where legacy comes in. It will also protect you and create income for you in your lifetime. So you get to your retirement years, you will be paid tax-free. Because why? Under the law, every insurance that is tied together with investment, as long as you're taking it not more than the adjusted cost base, you can take out that money tax-free. Right? Maybe you have started investing in insurance very early on, and your insurance has a lot of cash value. Like Mark said earlier, you can take out of your money in your insurance to buy your first real estate.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And when you're taking it tax-free, as long as it's not more than just adjusted cost base. So people should know that insurance is not a scam. It creates more assets. It creates more money. In fact, I tell my clients, insurance will create millions of dollars, and you can make $1 million with so little compared to when you put so much in real estate to give asset to your family. Depending on how you're structured, depending on who you're working with. So talk to a professional every time you need to take this decision. You don't just jump in it. If you buy the wrong type, you will call it a scam because some of them will not pay out in your lifetime. So look for insurance that will pay out in your lifetime and create legacy for your family. That's the way I'll sum it up.
I mean, what do you have to say about that?
Hey, he's the insurance professional, but you get life insurance and get the policy. But I know we've had that conversation a number of times. I remember you telling me the story about the family where, if you don't mind touching on that story about the gentleman that buys property for his kids when they're going to university.
So I've seen it. I've seen white families, white folks who's doing it for their children. So their children, what they do is as soon as they give birth to their children, they'll buy life insurance, invest in RRSP, registered education. So they put all of the funds here and there every two weeks, they put money in it. And when their children are going to the university, at least there are 4 children, 3 of them going to the university. The last one is playing hockey. In fact, he's going to be drafted to the professional hockey league.
NHL, amazing.
That's something big that the family has done. But what they do is every time the children are going to the university, they take out money from their cash value life insurance to buy their first home for the child.
For the kids.
For the kids, yeah. So the child, they use that money to buy home for the child in the city is going to the school. So they structure it in such a way that they have family renting, other students renting in that space, and they take out the rent to pay down the mortgage, take out the rent to also pay out other bills,
premium and
the premium and the loan taken from the insurance policy. So that's the way to create legacy. And of course, the children finish school debt-free.
Debt-free assets.
Debt-free and still have an asset that has accumulated cash flow.
Cash flow for them.
So that's the plan. For African families, for communities that we have around us, you want to set up your children for the better. Now, I tell you, there's trillions of dollars that will be transferred from insurance in the next 10 years. Trillions of dollars.
For those that have structured
For those that have properly structured this strategy. The question is, how many of us have looked into this plan? And the reason why we think this is important, it will not only create just money, it will create real money. You train your children well, they can compete well in future. They don't have to struggle. They want to start up their first business. They don't have to go get a loan, right? They don't have to struggle to buy their first home. They don't have to, so they have what foundation to leverage on.
It's already there.
Yeah, it's already there. And that's why we think insurance is important. I've done it for my children. A couple of us here have done it for our children. And what we're doing is to make sure we don't only just give them education or give them good morals. We also put the power, the financial power in their hand to be able to take good and great decisions. That's what insurance.
I love that. I mean, I don't love that.
That's legacy.
That's awesome. That's real legacy. And even for me, I've learned 1 or 2 things, clearly. I mean, and we have to talk. We have to talk, right? I mean, we have to build, some other strategy behind what we have. I'm going to pass over to Mark, and this is around mortgage. So we have, 1 or 2 persons asking the question that says that, can I use a foreign income to qualify for my first mortgage?
Yeah, that's a really, really good question. And honestly, it's far more common than I think we realize. So let's make it really, really simple on you. Okay. If you've just moved to Canada, let's say you're a brand new Canadian and you want to use existing salaried income from the country that you've moved from, it's possible. But you do need to put down 35% if you're from a country not the United States. Okay. If you're moving from the United States, let's say you hold a salary position there, you move to Canada, you want to live here, you can buy with as little as 20% down. Okay. But it has to be from the United States. Okay. It's more trusted as far as income is concerned. If you have moved to Canada and it's not from the United States, it's from one of the countries that requires a larger down payment. However, you filed taxes for 2 years here in Canada, you're considered a typical Canadian on paper, and you can buy typically with 5 or 10 or 15% down. Once you've had 2 years of taxes filed in Canada. But if you're brand new, there's a higher down payment requirement if you're still holding that job from outside of the country.
I mean, that's very insightful. Let me piggyback on that, Mark. So you're basically saying that if probably your income is in another country, right? It's going to take you like a couple of years before you can actually use that income to qualify as a mortgage, correct?
Only if a down payment is the limitation. So if you want to buy like a first-time home buyer, you want to put down 5 or 10%, but you've moved from, say, Europe, the UK, and you have a good salary job there, you just want to live here because you're Canadian. That's no problem. You're going to have 2 years of tax returns filed in Canada first if you want to put down less than 20%. That's with the banks, though. There's actually a lot more flexibility and seamlessness if you work outside of the bank. I'll give you a real quick case study. I had a family last year, came from the UAE, from Dubai. He was the head of HR for an international company, but he was from Dubai. He wanted to hold on to that job and come to Canada. Really, really good income. Outside of the bank, or with the bank, he had to put down 35%. Outside of the bank with a B lender, he was able to put down 20%. Not have any active taxes in Canada at all, and hold on to that job from the UAE. That's possible. The banks are really limiting. So what this client's done is that he's going to work on the B side for 2 years. So he has 2 years of tax returns in Canada, and then we're going to move the business back to the bank. But he's going to keep that job in the UAE.
So there's an option to work with the B bank, right?
B lender.
To B lender. I think so. So let me ask you.
Mark dive into that, like the different types of lenders.
Yeah. So Mark, on the mortgage side, right? So maybe you want to help us further. It's holistic. So maybe you want to break it down. What are the various types of mortgage that we have and the various types of lenders that we have?
So we need to think of it that we're kind of starting with what we're most familiar with. Many of us probably have a checking or a savings account. The number one lender for mortgages in Canada is the Big Five that we typically think of, the curbside lenders. Number two, biggest mortgage funder in Canada, while it's still an A lender, is actually Meridian and other credit unions like Meridian Credit Union. Those the number two funder in Canada. So there's small credit unions in smaller towns, as well as some of the big boys in the big city. Outside of that, it takes us down to what's called B lending, where it's more unique from the income that you can use to qualify. You can be a business owner, have lower taxable income, higher cash flow, and still have options. But the only limitation on the B side is you have to have 20% down. So kind of think of it as a cascading effect. The big banks or credit unions, lowest interest rates, hardest to qualify. B lender, interest rates are a little bit higher, easier to qualify, more options. And then the last one is private lending, where it's not about income. It's solely about capital, and it's solely about equity in your home. The challenge with private lending, though, is that the property type, while being paramount, has to be in better condition and in more ideal locations. You won't get private lending in Timbuktu, but the banks will lend there. So it really depends on what solution's best for your family, and that's why the initial, introductory call to pre-approval is so important up front, so you know your options and proper expectations are set from day one.
Okay, sounds good. Pretty very happy. Again, I have a very interesting question here. So looking at the market now, right? I know for the past few years, 2-3 years, we've had a little bit of interest rate going up, and people have been kind of very worried as to what they want to do. Now, for people that want to get into mortgage now, people that want to buy the property, either the first or second property, or even to refinance, right? What do you think the strategy would be in terms of either to go on the side of the variable, the fixed, and maybe you want to start by touching on the various kind of mortgage that we have, and then use that to answer the question. What would you advise in a time like this, in an economy like this?
I think there's no one size fits all when it comes to strategy. Every family's game plan, reason for buying, long-term horizon and use for the property may be a bit unique. So, giving a specific around, fixed versus variable is going to heavily depend on some feedback we get from the client. But speaking very high level in saying, hey, for the average family who's just looking to pay lower interest, who's looking to get a good understanding as to where the market is headed, what solution is going to ultimately be most competitive in the next 3 to 5 years, I could certainly touch on some speculation. So, Joe, if we had this conversation 6 months ago, I would have said take a variable all day long. The market is crashing. The rates are going to go down. You can convert later on and save like gangbusters. That was what we were told. That's what all the primary economists told us was going to happen. So, of course, that was the education we offered to the marketplace. Now, the Bank of Canada have paused rate discretions. We're not expecting the variable rate to go down at all. We're actually expecting the next announcement with a change to be an increase in spring of 2027. So we're expecting the variable interest rates to stay.
I don't want to hear that. I don't want to.
Yeah. Don't shoot the messenger. We're expecting it to stay flat. However, there is some volatility still expected with fixed interest rates, where fixed interest rates may have a bit of volatility over the next 24 to 36 months. So what recommendation, if somebody said, hey, Mac, you know what, I want to get a solution where I don't have to worry, I want to pay the least amount of interest, what's the best option? I would say for a first-time home buyer, get the best and lowest 5-year fixed and forget about it. You don't want volatility. You're already having your carrying costs for home ownership go a lot higher than what you're accustomed to with renting. So let's not, create additional anxiety. Let's get a budget we're happy with. Let's set it, forget it. We'll look at it in 5 years. That's what I would say to the average first-time home buyer. If you're an investor, though, I would say there's probably going to be a good opportunity where the market's going to create some new equity in the next 24 to 36 months. Let's stay nimble. Because we know variable rates are not going to go up very sharply. If you get into a variable, you're probably not going to have too much volatility in the short term. However, the market's going to rebound in 2027. That's what a lot of us are expecting is going to happen. So 28 to 29, there could be a good exit. There could be a nice time to get out, pull that money back and reinvest. So getting into a 5-year fixed might not be the savviest solution for an active investor. That's kind of the two sides of the coin I'm thinking.
Okay. Sounds good. I mean, pretty much. I can't argue with you, right? And I haven't actually I'm at your mercy. I have to agree with you and then take what it is, which is very insightful. And I think to touch on a little bit on mortgage, we have a question here. And this is for people that are not PR holders or citizens, right? People that are on work permits, study permits. What are the options available for them right now? Because we have a lot of them who also probably they've been working for like 2 years and they're like, I want to get a property. I want to start paying my rent.
The easiest answer to that initially is get married to a Canadian. If you are married to a Canadian and or someone who is a PR holder and you're on a work permit, you can purchase like a Canadian. We're actually noticing a lot of folks taking advantage of that opportunity and not waiting for both partners to be PR. The second one person's PR, boom, the gravy train, and you can go ahead and purchase a home. That's the easiest option. The second option is there's rent to own, where you're not taking on the mortgage now, or maybe taking on the mortgage in 24 to 36 months, but you can still buy your dream home today, begin earning equity in the marketplace today, and essentially rent like you would have already, but in the home that you're eventually going to own, and then buy it from your landlord down the road. You don't need to qualify for a mortgage until it is that time, which means you don't need your PR until that time. So that's another option. And then the third option, which creates a bit of a bad taste in some mouths, is there's a tax involved. It's called the non-resident sales tax. Essentially, it says, hey, you can buy a house, but you're going to pay 25% tax on the purchase price as an incentive that you don't go anywhere. And within 4 years, when your PR is given to you, we'll happily return it to you in cash without any interest, unfortunately. So that's the third and less desirable option.
Okay, great. And I know we've had this conversation as well, where you've touched on this. So for you, Mark, with your experience, as a mortgage broker and expert, what is your? I mean, let me say this is an opportunity for you to what's your EVP? What's your value proposition? What's your, what's that unique value, that we at YLJ offer, particularly on the mortgage side, that you think that our people should know about, why they should kind of partner with us when it comes to their mortgage journey?
Thank you for saying that. And I think some of the clients that you have as post-close feedback have really touched on one of the things that we know is most important in real estate, and it's speed and efficiency. To use the current client example that we're working with right now, we were able to take a client who was declined at the bank to be fully pre-approved the very next day. That's not something that you can get in many banks, perhaps not even with the current solution that you're working with, but us as a team, the 4 of us here together, can provide that value to our clients. The second thing is, how do we differentiate ourselves in a cluttered marketplace? Today we know it's not aggressive out in the buyer season. If we were to go back 24 months, you couldn't buy a house if you wanted to. We're going to get back into that market very shortly, and you want to have the best team that knows how to win the offer, how to be strategic, and has the best relationships in the industry as well. Real estate, like any other business, insurance, as Israel mentioned, is very relationship based. The fact that we know more realtors, we have connections with the best banks, can get pre-approvals done efficiently, is super, super important. But we also want to save money. Working with us and working with our team, you're going to pay less interest. You're going to get the peace of mind of strategy and advice that's not short-sighted. And after the mortgage closes and after the home closes, we don't run away. We're there to handhold. We're there to further educate, and of course, make sure that everyone in your telephone book, in your family conversations, is also supported with the same kind of advice and strategy that we were able to guide you with. So I think it just comes with someone who is not going to speak at you, who's going to speak to you, who's not going to use industry jargon, and is going to understand what you need to be most successful as an investor or a new home buyer. Really, the 4 of us together is the team that you want to have together.
And I like the way you handled it. That will just throw you jargons, right? We just use a lot of buzzwords, and you're like, can you just speak in plain terms to understand what exactly it is, right? Yeah. And I think at YLJ Group, I alluded to earlier, one of the things that we do differently, is we don't make it transactional. It's all about transaction. It's all about an experience, right? So partnering with us, I mean, like you see from one of our testimonials, we also have what we call the advisory strategy, session. Like everything is not about you have to buy. Right? We could just spend time with you, sit down with you, even understand your situation. Where are you in your journey, right? Well, of course, it's not free. It's not free. It's not free. So we offer, advisory strategy. We just spend time. I think we just did one for a client. You can
share that story about.
Yeah. So I'm going to share this very interesting story so that people can also learn. Because people say, what's the need for a realtor? I think that's always a question people always ask. People kind of see realtors as, they just want to make you buy because they want to get a commission, right? Yeah. So this is the honest truth, and I'm going to tell you for real. Yes, we're going to get a commission. Does that break your heart? That shouldn't really break your heart, because that's a real thing, right? For every work, there's a reward, right? We're going to get a commission for sure. Regardless. Now, but think about it this way. You're not the one paying us a commission as a buyer. So literally, we're offering you a free service at zero cost. Now, what's the implication of that service not being used is the fact that it could actually cost you thousands of dollars when you don't use a realtor in your transaction,
or a financial advisor,
or even a mortgage broker, right? Well. So think about it this way: it's a free service. Just the same way you go to ChatGPT, the unpaid version, and it's free. Yeah. The way you go to Google, and it's free. Now, do you know how difficult life would have been for you if there is a Google but you don't use it, and you're basically having to solve problems in your own way, and you can't even get away with it, as compared to someone who uses the Google or a ChatGPT, and it seems like they're doing something great. Right now, this is I'm going to share a story with you. With a client we just offered this strategy for, and like I did for Marjorie, she was someone that she had a property, in Ottawa, and she was renting a property, within the GTA. Now they bought the property when the market was all-time high. Okay, that's the one, and they listed out at Ottawa, and they were renting here because of family peculiarities and work dynamics, right? Now, when they bought the property, they had to do some renovations, to get it up to speed. To think about it this way, so someone is paying their mortgage, right, which is a strategy, and then they are paying now someone else's mortgage from their rental property. Now it becomes a little bit tricky when they were due for refinancing. Now the market has gone down. Okay, the property probably they bought at 800 is now valued at 650. Okay, and then they want to refinance the property, right? Which means everything is going to change. Property value is going to go lower. Bank is going to tell you probably they didn't even want to get into that transaction and all of those things. Now she reached out to me through a friend. We're just like talking to me. I was like, you know what? Let me walk you through a strategy. And then I sat down with them, understood the situation, and then straightforward, I just said, you're not going to sell that property. Now, as a matter of fact, they were going to sell that property because they couldn't get through the mortgage. They wanted to sell the property. Now, think about the property you bought for like 800. Now you're selling for like 650. That's probably a net of, 150 loss.
Not even accounting for the mortgage
exclusive of the mortgage expenses, right? And also the innovation they've done the property. So they're probably looking at almost about 200,000 or more that they were losing. Now, I sat with her and I was like, for a start, you're not going to lose that amount of money. She was like, no, it's not. I said, you're not going to lose. You won't lose a dime out of the money. And then what we did was that looked at the situation and figured out that rather than selling that property, as a matter of fact, it was already listed to be sold by another, realtor or whatever. And I said, you're not going to sell that property. You're actually going to leave the GTA and then move to Ottawa in your home property. And then we look at the situation, and it was possible because they're actually working remotely.
They're both working remotely.
And she was like, we never saw that happen. Okay, the concern of the landlord having to break the lease. We also sat down, do a strategy of how they could speak to the landlord and get, breaking the lease without having to pay any dime. Now, this is the end result. Marjorie and the family moved back to their home in Ottawa. Guess what? The husband got a job at Ottawa just immediately after they moved in. Yeah. And now they are pretty doing well. That's how you could share that testimony. That's what we do at the strategy, right? It's not about just sell.
Or buy.
Buy. I could easily just say, you know what? In my head, 800K commission, you know what? Let's sell, right? But that's not, it doesn't always work that way, right? There are better ways to help people because again, whatever amount we're making in commission is not comparable to what they're going to be losing in what they're getting. So that's what we do at YRJ. We'll sit down with you, understand the situation and help you because again, it's a journey, right? It won't be the same all the time and they could always buy, right? Which I think they want.
They might end up moving back to the GTA.
Yeah, they might even invest. Yeah, they might even invest there, which puts them in a better situation, And that's the way we operate here. Now, let me talk about, the very interesting one we also just offered. Now, this family also bought a property. It was a pre-com property at Caledonia. And, for whatever reason, but the product was about over, 100,000 down deposit. And then life circumstance changed. They don't want to move anymore to Caledonia. Oh, my God. I'm going to say something, Nasa. You remember? The realtor literally told them, so they went to the realtor. Again, they didn't work with us at that time, which is understandable. But the realtor, told them, you know what? Nothing is going to happen. You have to just close.
You have to close on the house.
You have to close on the house. So they were kind of like, we don't want to close on the house. What are the options available to me? I would have expected to at least sit with them and look at the solution. Again, that's what we do at YRJ Group. We offer advice strategy, not just about transaction, like I said. And then we said, okay, you know what? Can we get into the contract, review the old contract with them? We saw that they had an assignment clause. Analyze the assignment. What does assignment clause? Assignment clause means that
you can basically give the property to someone
else to shift your liability to close on it, right? While you're working with. You're not going to walk away, but at least for that timing, at least you're relieved of having to close compulsorily before the closing period, right? So we spent time with them, look at the old documentation, analyze the document for the review for them, and summarize what the document, what the options are for them, and I went to a 5-step strategy as to what the options are available to them, right? Now, we're going to wait back on them and see how we take it up for them. The point is this: it doesn't have to be all transactional, right? It could be relational, and that's why at YRJ Group, again, we're not selling ourselves, okay? We're actually telling you one of the benefits of working with us or partnering with us is we handhold you to the process. We just don't think about the commission, the strategy. We have a financial advisor who will sit down with you, look at the model.
So I would add to what Bola is saying and Nasa, and of course, Mark. The biggest mistake people have made in this market is trying to just, do things without talking to a professional.
Yeah,
because they heard this is what this person did.
And then people also get into a situation where it's my brother, it's my sister.
They get sentimental about
who they use.
Yeah.
I've had a friend who got so sentimental about the person he was using. And this is the person I was telling, look, based on what I saw on your record today, don't progress on this deal. But it's my cousin. My cousin told me I should do it. My cousin said, are you going to believe a stranger than myself? And then they went into the deal. 9 months later, she called me and said, "Oh my goodness, I made the greatest mistake of my life of not listening to you." And I tell you, she lost more than $350,000 on that deal.
I mean, I can't doubt that. People lose a lot of money.
So we're not saying there are not good agents out there,
Right.
but I tell you, every time you have to take this decision, work with the professionals, and that's why we are here to tell it to you unfiltered, undiluted. We're plain and transparent with you. We'll walk through the numbers. If it's okay, we say go ahead. If it's not okay, we'll say stop. You're only stopping for now. You're not going to stop for life, right?
Yeah, true.
But if you take that break, you will relieve yourself of a very big loss that could happen in the future.
Absolutely.
And that's why we're here, passing out this message for free. You're not paying us right now, like they said. You know, our service is almost free.
Absolutely. I mean, free.
It's always free because you don't take out of your money to pay us, but you get the value for everything we do. So our goal is to make sure you get great value, to increase your family wealth unfiltered, to make sure you can go to bed and sleep well without stress. You know, paying your mortgage or paying your bills, and of course, guide you through the process where you have enough income to sustain your family and create wealth. You know, protect your wealth as well. That's what we do here.
Yeah, thank you so much. And guess what? This is the interesting part of it is we have a lot of testimonials and we have a lot of experiences to share. People that have probably gotten their fingers burnt and then, but it doesn't even matter. No matter how bad it is, we'll salvage it by the grace of God, right? I mean, we don't kind of say that, oh, you didn't work with us, go figure it out. No. We're going to help you sit down because like I said, it's not transactional. It's more relational, right? We're going to help because, again, I always think about it this way. I mean, I'm a homeowner by God's grace. You're a homeowner. And I look at what it takes to be able to pay those mortgage, right? Thinking about the risk you're taking on, right? I mean, for some people right now, their home is on negative. For some, it's on positives, right? Depending on the time or situation when the bought into. The market has switched. But again, don't feel bad if you're a first-time homeowner, you bought already, and like probably you bought when you should have bought. That's the reality of it. People say you bought at the wrong time. I don't think it's ever wrong. You just bought when you should have bought. Because again, what determines the right time? Let me ask you, what really determines the time for anyone to buy?
There's no specific time. It's personal to your family, your family situation, and your current work dynamic or business dynamic. So yeah, there's no wrong or right time. There's only a wrong or right time for you and your family personally, based on where you guys are. So
So that's the point. So there's no model to say that this is the right time.
Right.
This is the wrong time. So even if you bought when the market was high, you bought because you needed a property, right? And based on the information that was available to you at that time, it wasn't just a blind decision. You made it based on other circumstances. However, if peradventure you want to revisit that situation to be sure that am I still in line with my track,
it, then you can always
and one thing we always track, you know, if you look at our podcast, I think I want to tell you, you need to go back to those
and watch
series.
all the videos.
I mean, get yourself for the next one day or just feel how just get yourself involved with those podcasts. It's very enriching. It has a lot of information. You know, all the things we're talking about here at eye level, we actually went into them in detail. We broke it down step by step as to how you want to work and make your right decision, you know, for your job. Like I said, guess what? When we're going to set up this company, right? It was tough for us to figure out the name, you know. But one thing came to us. We just said NASA and Joe, or NASA and Bola, or just pick my first name, his first name, and just cook something up, right? But we're intentional about you. It wasn't which was what we called it your real estate journey. It was about you. We just thought about, you know what, we want to offer a service to people. Why don't you let's make it about them as against us, right? And that's why the YLJ group came into play, because we feel that we saw a gap in the market to say, nobody offered this strategy, this advice strategy of sitting down with you. Let me tell you, this is the reality. Take it for free. A realtor will sit with you because they want to make money from you. Okay. A realtor will sit with you because it's calculating you're going to buy us of $1 million, right? And I'll get a commission for that. So if you hear those strategies, because they can foresee what's ahead of them.
They will sit with you because, and also shoot your budget so they can get
exactly right.
There's that too.
I mean, we've had clients that wanted to go $1 million. We said no, you don't have to go
that much. No.
That was Temi Tokpe and Faith, right? I mean, they were liquid. They were ready to go up to like $1 million. We said no, not in this market. You're not going to go $1 million. We're going to get you something lower, and we got them.
And they got something that they were even renting the basement out.
Honestly,
and getting cash flow.
I saw it. It was marvelous. I work with them on the insurance side. It's amazing.
Good position financially.
It's amazing. I can say it over and over
Yeah.
again.
And the good thing with them was, you know, we went to the property, we saw it. Initially, they were not like convinced about it, but we showed them the bigger picture of. I think they were paying $2,800. Let me even tell you, really, they were paying $2,800 as a rent. Rent $2,800. Again, it was good at that time. Again, so don't feel bad if you're renting. There's nothing wrong about renting. At the end of the day, you're getting value for what you're paying for. I mean, you're not sleeping on the street. You're living somewhere, which is your habitation, right? So they were paying $2,800 at that time. Now, and we had that in mind to say we wanted them to go down on what they were paying and they still get the value for it. And then the property they got right now, they're paying about 3,800 for the property, and that's the entire total cost of ownership plus the property tax,
Plus
the
mortgage.
mortgage, everything. And now the basement alone is giving them 1,600.
1,600.
So basically, they're already profiting already because they're paying 2,200 for their own home.
So from 2,800
to 2,200,
they come down to pay 2,200.
Yeah.
2,200
2,200.
for your
their
own,
own
for your
money.
own, for your
And they
own
have
home.
income coming from.
And they're building equity
Yeah,
in the
they're
house.
building
as well.
equity at the
In
same
the
time.
House as well.
So plus or minus, you have net profit of about $600.
600 net already.
Every month.
In this market, people are saying it's not in this market.
Yeah.
Don't sleep, clock it. Is that not what they say? Clock it. So they're giving you freebies now. There are strategies to this thing. This thing doesn't just happen, right? It's not magic. It is strategy. So we sit with you, walk you through that framework. And like, again, it's not one size fits all. It's different for you, different for me.
Yeah.
We're going to look at our situation and then build what we call that framework that really works for you to help you get the value. And if you feel like, you know what, with all those indications, it doesn't feel like it's a good time for you, we'll always tell you. We'll tell you. That's a good thing. We're not just trying to make it like you have to buy. This whole thing of you have to buy now. Stop paying your landlord's rent. Wake up, clock it. Okay. I don't know where I got this. I've been hearing this clock. I've just been going, I've been falling in love with this whole clocking thing, right? So just want to let you know that, you know, it's really going to be an awesome year for you. There's no doubt about that. As long as you take the right, you know, get the right information, walk through those information, and then take action.
I have the right professionals to guide you through that process as well.
Yeah. And as we wrap up, I will let me, you know, just on the last point for you, Israel. What does that look like for a short-term financial plan? On a long-term financial plan, what should I be doing, you know, in the immediate, like right away from today? What steps should I be taking to build, you know, start planning for my finances, my real estate journey?
Yeah. So I'll go back to our first 4 key points because it drives everything that happened.
Right.
So what should you do from today on? You know, coming into the new year, you're planning to buy, get your FHSA account operational. Open it. If it's 200, you know,
where can they open that? Any bank? How does that work?
Bank,
Most financial institutions
you can talk to me as well.
Yeah.
Talk to me. I have partners I can get you on with that would get you set up. And of course, use your TSFA, right? Depending on where you are, I'll say use RRSP. But if you RRSP, you're only creating another tax burden in future. But depending on where you are, maybe you are very high income earner, then we can talk about, let's get into RRSP as well. But in the interim, I wouldn't say use it as a big strategy. So take advantage. If you're looking to buy, take advantage of your first home buyer account, TSFA, and then on the other side, start thinking of RRSP. But then all that you do now that generates income for you, that is driving you towards your future goal, has to be locked in, has to be protected. Meaning you have to protect your income, you have to protect your family in the short term, in the long run, even before you get into those big strategy. That's where insurance comes in. Lock everything you have right now into an insurance. Because why? If life happens, those dreams can still be fulfilled. So don't just think, oh, okay, I'll buy my home first before buying insurance. No. I'll put TSFA first before buying insurance. No. It's the journey, and that has to be in place every time. It's the foundation. You can't drive your car in Canada without auto insurance.
Yeah.
It's a criminal offense.
Right.
So I asked my client, why should you live your daily life traveling all the way, paying so much to car insurance, and you're not protected? Remember, the reason why your family have food on the table is because you work. If you can't work suddenly because life happens,
the income is not there anymore.
The income is not there again. The strategy to buy your first home is gone.
It's gone.
The strategy to buy a second home is gone. Because why? The income is not there again. But remember, you have young kids who need you. They need shelter, they need clothing, they need holidays, lifestyle. That's what your insurance will create. Number 2 is that your insurance will not only create that, it will create legacy for yourself. In Canada, for example, today, if you retire from your active work, the maximum pension you can receive is $1,433.
Oh my
that's
God.
Before tax.
Can they clock that?
Please clock it in. Clock it in.
That doesn't even cover groceries.
Yeah, it doesn't cover groceries. So you see people working so hard, depending on pension.
Right.
And the average you will get is about 800. And so you need to have worked 39 years active working life for you to get the maximum.
Wow.
So these are the knowledge gap. And then you get your employer. Some people tell you, my employer has insurance for me. Sure. But what they have insurance they have for you does not cover you beyond the employment. So you leave that employment, you lost everything. Now, you want more for yourself that will plan for your retirement. That's where legacy comes in. Have insurance that will pay out to you in your lifetime. So I have clients today that when they retire from active work, they'll get at least $60,000 every year, tax-free income. Imagine add that to your regular TSFA or other investment. So you need to plan to have insurance that will take care of your future, that will pay in your lifetime as if you are receiving pension. They call it living benefits, right? So if you work with us, we'll get you to that strategy. I'm glad to tell you that Timmy and the wife did the same thing. They have their property. They are also securing their future, meaning that you want to create assets that will secure you. Make sure when you get to it, no matter where you are in the world, it will pay out to you cash and tax-free. So that's how you should plan. You don't just say, hey, because I'm planning to buy a home, I don't need insurance now. You don't say, because I'm planning to buy my next car, I should buy my car first before buying insurance. No. As long as you cannot drive your car without insurance.
Makes it very, I mean, they are coterminous. You can't separate them.
Yeah, you have to put everything together.
You have to put everything together. So you love yourself, you love your family. You're also thinking of your retirement years where you can have access to income tax-free insurance, close the gap.
Okay, I mean, I'm sure you can't have enough of that. I mean, it's really very important for people, and you don't want to. Rush this person. He has all the information to help you throughout this year and even beyond. My brother, real estate. What's happening in the market? 2025, 2020. People are asking, are we on the safe side? Are we good? Can I buy? Can I invest? I don't know what's happening. What do you think right now?
For me, to wrap this up, the long and short of it is the market is on sale right now.
Basically.
Absolutely.
I mean, you can check it. You can check it.
The stats are there.
So the market is on sale right now. We've gone through, I mean, between 2020 to 2022, market was
crazy
at its peak, right? After 2022, then Bank of Canada started increasing interest rates. And then last year, they started dropping the rates as well. So now we're getting to a point where it's back in recovery mode. So things are a little bit stable. Homeowners are not selling. At the same time, buyers want like a deal, right? So now I'll just say the market is at that equilibrium level where if you check your affordability, you check your cash flow, everything is good. Now is the time to have a conversation with Mark, see what you can actually afford, and let's see what we can get you in the market. And if it works for you, fine. And also to say that, remember that you don't have to always buy the property that you would live in.
Absolutely.
You can also think of you buying an investment property, right? So it doesn't have to be like your primary residence. You buy something, you put tenants in there, they live in there as well. So whatever works, I think now is definitely the time for you to start looking into, setting your family up on the long term.
Absolutely. And to chime in on that, I mean, there's a part people don't really focus on. That's the commercial side. That people don't really look into. People just think, when you think about real estate, all you just think about is a house, a home I want to buy.
Well, in a commercial space here, this is.
This is a studio. It's a commercial space, and if you look through, I think from Whitby or Oshawa, that Highway 401, there's a lot of storage facilities that have been built. I mean, you might want to look into this thing, even beyond wherever you stay, right? Commercial properties are really very, very, very good, because the reality is, commerce is what drives the economy. Right? So you will always, I mean, just look at Oshawa downtown. How many shops do we have that are vacant? Right? So basically it tells you that the vacancy rate is very, very low. It's very, very low. So, and people are looking for spaces, right? I mean, there's so much you can do with that.
After COVID now, people are now resuming back
to the office.
Yeah, into the business.
There's not enough space.
Yeah.
And then there's a mandate from the government of Ontario to bring everybody back 5 times a week for government workers as well. So
to drive the commerce, part of the
I have a client I was working with, says they don't have space. Government is looking to build and rent more spaces.
Yeah. So the reality is, when we talk about real estate, don't just limit it to
not just residential.
No, residential. Think about commercial, and I think that's a big part. Most people are not really looking into, and it's a call to action. Look at that option. What do you want to do? I mean, I'm not saying starting a business. If you don't want to start a business, I'm saying you could buy into a property and then lease it out. And then, like I said, the vacancy rate is very, very low, and it's guaranteed. Either you do a monthly or a long time or a short time, whatever model works for you. It is a guaranteed income, and then it's very easy for you. Even bank financing. Maybe I will ask Mark this. I mean, from my understanding, I know it's much easier to even get financing for commercial properties than even residential, because there's a business side. As long as the location makes sense, government can see that this is the right market overt for the kind of business you want to generate. And it's always a quick thing for them, because at the end of the day, if you default, I mean, I think I'd rather you default on your mortgage on commercial. Bank would prefer you to default on commercial than to default on residential. They can easily pick it and then move on with it, right? So again, look at your situation. Don't close your mind to just residential. And if yours is to rent as well, if yours is you want to buy for commercial side of it, which is the business part of, the rental itself, the commercial, you can also get into the most important thing in 2026. Don't sleep on it. You should clock it.
it.
You should clock it. Don't sleep. Don't sleep. Like you said, the market is on sale. I mean, we bought a property for one of the people that did testimonial for us. It was living in that property. It was actually renting in that same
He was
building.
living in the condo already, and then he saw a property for sale in his condo. And so yeah, he called us, help us. We got him to the property. Now his mortgage and property tax is actually lower than the rent he was paying in the same condo on River Street downtown.
Yeah, so, because right now in this market, like I said, it's on sale. The way you buy your Zara, the way Zara do 30% sale, you know that they can't put unless they can't put 30% off, but the reality is it's probably like 30 or 40% off. Okay, for anyone getting to the market right now. Maybe I want to go to Mark. Final words. So think about CMHC. Someone is asking, I don't have so much of money. I don't want to go 20%, and I don't want CMHC to take my money. Right? Maybe you want to explain, is CMHC really taking my money? Is there something there for me I'm benefiting that I don't know?
I think, as I understood the question, is that we don't have the full down payment and we're looking for additional options to boost that. Is that what I understood?
We get worried when it comes to like the insurance part. That why will I be paying 5% and CMHC is taking I have to pay CMHC insurance, right? So they want to wait.
Property mortgage insurance.
Yeah, so they want to wait till they have the 20%, right? Because of that amount. So I'm talking about, if you look at the numbers, right? Do you really think CMHC is taking your money, or there's a value had there for them?
So thank you for clarifying. Anyone who's thinking that it's in their best interest to wait until they have 20% down is missing the investment opportunity around real estate. How long is it going to take you to save that last 15%? 2, 3, 4 years additional savings. Let's just say that that's the case. Where's the market going to be in 4 years? The goalpost is constantly moving if you're looking to save 20% down. Unless you have a really high income job, I would suggest that the best way is to use leverage. 5% down means that 95% of the property is leveraged and allows you to grow in an investment vehicle with very little down. A condo downtown you can buy with $25,000. Just think of how farly leveraged that property is. You get the best and lowest interest rates when you qualify with less than 20% down. People may not realize that when you buy with 5% down versus 20% down, you get a lower interest rate on your mortgage. Means your monthly payment perhaps is lower, and the affordability and the cash flow has improved. So what I would always recommend for someone that's thinking of saving, I would say why. What is it that you're hoping to gain or to overcome by waiting 2 or 3 or 4 years or coming up with the additional 20% down? One thing that I think is helpful to understand around our pre-approval process, and where I think a lot of clients get a benefit out of our strategy, is we outline 5%, 10%, 15, and 20% down on how much you're going to need for the closing costs and how much your monthly carrying costs are. And I don't want to shock you here, but between 5% down and 20% down in most cases is between $300 and $500 a month less on the monthly payment. So if a 5% down payment is $25K and 20% is $100, do you want to put an additional $75,000 out of your investments, selling investments that are doing well with Israel, to save $500 a month? To me, that doesn't equate or make sense financially. You want to get into the market as fast as you can and hold that property for a minimum of 5 years. If you do that, the recipe for success is there. Nothing else to it.
I mean, I had someone ask the question, and exactly, I like the way you broke it down, numbers perspective to see, because people when they don't see the numbers, they don't get to really understand. They feel like it's a whole lot of amount they're paying on insurance, and that's really what it is, right? I think a call to action for you today is, once we're over, a QR code is going to come up on the screen. Just scanning the QR code. Either you want to speak to the realtors, myself and Nasser, or you want to speak to the broker, or you want to speak to the financial advisor. We're going to set that meeting up, and then you just can't really even know. Some people don't even know what the opportunities are. Don't even know what they're qualified for, right? Don't look at the option. But we hope that today, at the minimum, even if you don't have anything to take away, you've taken it, clocking it. You've heard something.
Our audience are intelligent.
You've heard something that you could take action on, right? Part of our, media has been like, don't sleep on it, right? 2026 is a year to plan. It's a year to take action. Now, beyond the prophecies, the word has gone forth for, for WIP believers. It's a year of, so many things. Different people have
Divine
said it's a year of divine
possibilities.
possibilities,
Yeah.
a year of exemption,
Yeah.
it's a year of opportunities, a year of
Dominion,
great
also.
dominion. You got to get into dominion by taking action.
Yeah.
Okay. Practical action, practical steps to really help you convert those prophetic words into actionable result. And we hope that very soon we start seeing our mails buzzing for people booking appointments. We just want to get to know you better. We want to see, where are you in the situation? Is it complex? Is it easy to go with? Do we need to pair you up with someone to get things going? But the most important thing is it is your real estate journey and you have to take action, because 2026 is a year for you to win. We hope today has been an awesome time. Like I said, if you want to get more information, we've only given you high-level information. Get onto the podcast. We have a lot of almost about 20 or 30 series. We've touched on different things, either commercial, buy, sell, investment, fast, whatever it is. There's a lot of information there for you, to get and to enjoy, to consume, to help you take action. And we hope that we see you next time. Guess what? I said there's something I want to talk about. It's going to be our year of tours.
Yep, we're going to be doing a lot
of home tours, right? Giving
you,
a lot of. So people okay, what does the townhouse look like? We're going to show you. What does a condo look like? We're going to show you. What does, a detached look like? What does a 10-minute dish like? What does staging look like? Like, we're going to give you more insight into those properties. Now, this is not about talk. It's pictures, okay, to see and be able to imagine yourself in that home. Begin to imagine yourself like, okay, I live in a condo, it's a bed, high rise, a swimming pool, whatever it is you want. There's also going to be available for you this year. We hope that, this year will be a great year for you. Take action, plan it, and then clock it. Thank you very much for joining us today. It is still with your YLG group, myself, Nasser, Israel, and Matt. Thank you all so much and have a wonderful day. God bless you.
Thank you so much, guys.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye.
Listen, YLG Group is the best company to go to if you're looking for a house in Canada. I needed a house urgently sometime in May this year because I had gotten a job. I gave their representative 7 days to find me a nice house within budget. Guess what? He found me a beautiful house beyond my expectations. I tell you, within 7 days. I was impressed then. I'm still impressed at his efficacy, efficiency, professionalism, the speed. Okay, I think I said that before. But it was, I was impressed and I appreciated it then. I still appreciate it now. The landlords are great, the environment is beautiful, the house, I go to work reluctantly. I'm happy to come back to my beautiful space thanks to YLG Group. So yes, I totally recommend them. Even till now, anyone who reaches out to me that they're looking for a place to stay, I don't waste time. I'm like, these are guys, they get the job done fast, as if my life depends on it. And the best part of it, I didn't even pay. Still the quality. God bless you. Yes, they are wonderful people, and I am still impressed. I've not gotten over it. Wow, just wow.
Hi, I'm Faith.
Hi, I'm Timmy, and I want to thank YLG Group, Joe and Nasser, for helping us get our first home.
The experience was very seamless. From the beginning, when we were a bit unsure if this was the right steps, we had lots of questions. We wanted to know what the process was like. We were not sure if we were financially ready or if the numbers made sense or even where to start from. The team was very helpful in helping us figure all of that out. They helped us assemble our team of Avengers with the mortgage broker, with the lawyer, and everyone really just brought their A game. At the end of it all, we were able to have all of our questions answered. We were able to do a pros and cons list, run the numbers, and we were like, okay, this is the best decision. This is what the best place to get a house would be for now and all of that. And it was all thanks to the team.
Yeah, Joe and Nasser are wonderful folks. They had a lot of questions, like Faith said. I usually message Joe in the middle of the day, random questions coming up, but they bought their A game. We saw our first house, we bought the first house, and they are wonderful folks. I'll definitely go with them any day, anytime for our next house.
Yeah. And we've also been recommending them to a lot of our friends and families, and it really means a lot for us to be able to recommend people to our friends and families. So it really just means that we had a wonderful experience, and we want everyone around us to have similar or even better experiences.
Yeah, thank you, Joanna.
Thank you.